All right. So I know that I've talked a lot about the Joker. I know that. You know that. And I'm going to talk more about it because I find today's headlines to be a little bit interesting. So, what we have here is a situation where a movie comes out, it does better than expected, it does exceptionally well, critically well received for the most part, audience score very high, a lot of people like it, worldwide done very well on a modest budget. So then the question becomes on Monday following, what's the next announcement going to be? What exactly is going to keep people interested in wanting to support this property? Is a sequel going to be happening? Is a spinoff going to be happening? All of these questions get asked like all the time. And it's usually pretty frequent that this is how the game is played. So today I found it interesting when Heroic Hollywood, and I've seen others run very similar headlines to this, put this out there. Joaquin Phoenix says he's open to returning to a Joker sequel, right? Joaquin Phoenix says he is open to returning for a Joker sequel. This is new information considering the fact that Joaquin Phoenix basically said a long time ago that he doesn't like to do sequels. We know he famously doesn't like to do sequels. We know that he was originally up to play Doctor Strange, but didn't want to commit to Marvel shooting schedule. So it instead went to Benedict Cumberbatch, who I feel has done an amazing job. But still, we know that this dude is not a fan. Period. Point blank. Point blank. A fan, not a fan of doing sequels. So what exactly is it about this? Is this a real headline or is this more clickbait? So let's take a look here at the quote. So, appearing on Popcorn with Peter Travers, Joaquin Phoenix discussed what he'd like to do with the sequel and how he and Todd Phillips could have spent a lot longer filming the villain's solo film. While he first mentions that they've both discussed other projects they'd like to do together, he does say that the possibilities are endless, saying, I talked to Todd a lot about what we might be able to do in general just to work together, but also specifically if there's something else we can do with Joker that might be interesting. So it ended up being a dream role. It's nothing that I really wanted to do prior to working on this movie. I don't know that there's more to do. Me and Todd would still be shooting now if we could, right? Because it seems endless, the possibilities of where we can go with the character. And a lot of people are going to take this. They're going to take this along with the success of the film, and they're going to take this along with everything else, and they're going to say, yes, it should be a sequel. Yes, they should do more with it. Yes, they should tie it into Batman. And I think after seeing the movie, because originally I was like, and I said this yesterday, Joker is the final nail in the coffin for the DCEU, and I stand by my thoughts on that one. Warner's is not going to shoehorn this in. There were talks last night coming out of Mikey Sutton that the overall extended version of the DCEU is no longer about a connected multiverse of films. It's going to be more of just kind of like segmented, isolated stories that might have some kind of connecting theme. However, I don't think that's going to be much of the case anymore. I think once Wonder Woman 2, Shazam 2, Birds of Prey, Aquaman 2, once those films are generally done, they're going to soft reboot them or tie them into a soft reboot that's going to be happening. You know, what we're going to finally see is, like, let's say, for example, Superman Returns, just because we're tying it into DC here. Superman Returns was a soft reboot of the Christopher Reeve Superman era. It was basically Superman 2.5. It negated that Superman 3 and Superman 4 even remotely existed. So that's kind of what they're going to do, in my opinion. I think that's probably the best way to do that. Flashpoint is probably where they're going to maybe eventually get to it, because again, that Flash movie is, it's all over the place. But in regards to Joker itself, should there be a Joker 2? No, I don't think there should be a Joker 2. If they wanted to shoehorn him into Batman, I think I would be like curious to see how they did it. But tonally speaking, Matt Reeves and Todd Phillips don't match up. And I don't think that Todd Phillips is going to sit idly by while Warner Brothers takes this character that he crafted with Joaquin Phoenix and try to shoehorn him into a franchise. Would it be very interesting to see Joker go up against other villains of Gotham and vie for control, going into that underbelly to become the clown prince of crime that we know and fighting off other villains? Villain v villain film would be interesting, but that's the only way I could see it being remotely fascinating. The idea of how Arthur Fleck came to become Joker, how they portrayed it, how they showed it, is fascinating in and of itself. Taking it beyond that just does kind of borderline become sadistic. And I say that not because the content of the film itself was sadistic, but the further mental degradation of this individual, watching this person further spiral out of control, is something that I do feel could potentially be seen as sadistic, if not definitely more of punching down on the mentally ill sort of thing. And this movie does have a lot to say about mental illness, and especially how the state fails people with mental illnesses. And I'd like to see, maybe if they do, to have that theme continued, Joker to become kind of maybe like an underground Robin Hood sort of thing, but he does say, and this is kind of a bit of a spoiler, he does say that he is apolitical, right? He doesn't have politics. So if he does become like a champion of the downtrodden, which is what it kind of feels like with the movie, especially the end of him there, when he gets pulled out of the car, again, spoilers, and he puts the smile on his face in his own blood while everyone is cheering him on, like he becomes this symbol, he becomes this idea. Now, of course, Todd Phillips has said that Batman's Joker may not be this Joker, that this Joker is an inspiration for that particular Joker, which, given all the commentary surrounding the movie, with all the people out there, losing their damn minds over it, I don't know if that's necessarily like the best thing to say, to be fair, that someone could be inspired by something. There was enough people that were trying to make that claim over the weekend that got proven wrong. So let's not maybe run on that narrative a bit further and get them all excited and happy and gleeful that something bad could potentially be happening. But in regards to a Joker sequel, I just don't think there needs to be one, unless they can come up with a really good story that shows us like that there is still something on the horizon that's going to be good. Because that was, again, one of the saving graces in the movie, in my opinion, at the end of the film, had to do with this shot of Batman, of Bruce, standing over his slain parents in the alleyway behind the movie theater, right? Like during the riot back in 1981 when this took place. Now keep in mind, 1981 is when this took place, when 10-year-old Bruce, or however old he was, is what ended up, watching his parents die. Robert Pattinson's Batman takes place in the 90s. So maybe 81 to 96, 97, somewhere in there. Maybe it's going to be a thing. Maybe around the mid to late 90s, that's going to be it. The Joker would still be around, maybe doing his thing, maybe being the clown prince of crime at that point, gone full on psycho, full on deranged. We don't know how far down they're going to want to take it, but it's a very careful process because they presented this in a non-comical way. And that is going to be the hardest thing that they can do going forward, is to keep it in a non-comical way. The Joker is over the top. He is violent, sociopathic, narcissistic, all of these things. Total psychopath. Arthur Fleck is that, but controlled, but understanding of the world around him. When he snapped, it wasn't a snap and he went crazy. It was a snap and he had clarity. And that's the scariest part of it. So it all really depends on how they want to portray it. I don't know if they can. I don't know if Joaquin Phoenix even wants to. We'll have to wait and see. I do hope that they do something with the movie. I don't know what to say. I hope that if they do, let me rephrase that. I hope that if they do a sequel, that it is given the care that it needs. And that would have to be a Todd Phillips thing. It would have to be a Joaquin Phoenix collaboration. I believe Scott Silver co-wrote the screenplay. He would have to be involved as well. They would have to sit down and really craft the future of the character. And I think that with what audiences saw, that's what audiences clearly want. And that is what they're going to have the hardest trouble with. How do you keep it going when you create it as a standalone entry? You were marketing it as a standalone entry, but here it is, a roaring success, global take home of 245 some odd million in its first week. And, you're like, well, sequel. Right now the talk is opening up a bit more. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but I leave it to you. Your thoughts, your opinions. Let me know on this one. How do you think they're going to go about it? How do you think they're going to do it? Do you think they should do it? Let me know down in the comments. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day and peace out.